What's up, all you piano prodigies and kung fu cavaliers? Today on the podcast, we discuss 2009 Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li. Yeah, we know every other movie podcast under the sun has already done this film, but fuck it, we really like this movie, and Chris Klein's performance alone deserves discussion over the next 10 years or so. So join us as we learn kung fu and learn who we are as a person on the inside, and learn how to kick the shit out of people. Yeah. It's time for Crush Celluloid.
Alright, today we are talking about 2009 Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li.
Because why wouldn't we?
I know. It's, once again, we're breaking our rules, but... And we also actually know this movie already, so that's even breaking our rules more, but it's such a fun movie.
Yeah, I certainly hadn't forgotten it.
No, not at all, and I loved it all over again. It is so weird and bad, and it's only like an hour and a half, like an hour 35, and so it's the perfect time to spend with a bad movie. You don't get tired of it, really.
It really is, yeah. It doesn't overstay its welcome too much.
No.
I will say the one main criticism I have of this movie is that there is not nearly enough Chris Klein in it.
Chris Klein. Oh man, his part could be beefed up so much.
I really just want to see a Nash solo movie. Like, if they ever get to make a sequel, it should just be about him.
Just Legend of Nash.
Because he is a legend in his own mind, obviously.
He really is. He's an amazing man. And an amazing police officer, I guess. I don't know.
We don't really. He acts like he is.
He does. The strange thing is, we really don't see them doing that much policing until the end.
No,
and still, they're not really policing.
Mostly his performance is made up of kind of furrowing his eyebrows. Like, his forehead must have hurt when he got done with this movie, because he scrunches it so much and flares his nostrils and just smirks and listens to hip-hop music. That's what he does this entire movie.
It's so amazing, because it's like he's acting like he's a Bruce Willis or someone. Like, he has this whole action movie star vibe going on without
he does, and he has
anything
this walk,
else.
Like, he kind of slithers through the scenes.
He does. He is so overly confident, and it just does not play well.
But it is the best moments of the movie is anytime he is on screen. Okay, so before we'll get more into Chris Klein later. Yes. But just talking about this movie a little bit, when I looked on IMDb, which it has like a 3.7 rating, of course.
Yes.
It's weird. I was looking at the cast, and it seems like in the Japanese release of this movie, some of the characters were switched around. And I don't understand how. Yeah, so like Neil McDough, who plays Bison, was apparently Vega in the Japanese version. Tapu from the Black Eyed Peas that plays Vega.
Oh, that's who he is.
Yeah.
I could not figure that out.
He's from the Black Eyed Peas. Who played Vega was Balrog, and Michael Clark Duncan, who was Balrog, was Bison. But
what?
I don't know if that's true, because how the fuck could they re-edit that movie to make that work? Because Bison is obviously Bison, and Balrog is like his second in command, and Vega's barely in it, and he has the Vega mask and claws, so I have no idea. That has to just be bullshit.
I would think so.
But on the cast list on IMDb, all of those actors, it says who their character is in the movie, and then there's a slash, and then it says another character, and then Japan.
I was wondering about that. Oh, that's what those are for, yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that makes no sense, and I don't see how that could fucking work.
Unless they shot two versions of the movie, which still doesn't... Why would they do that?
Yeah, no, that makes no sense. I mean, a lot of the lines where they refer to character names are ADR lines, so they could easily be changed, but just the way the characters are presented in the movie, unless there's a lot of footage on the cutting room floor, there's no way they could work in those roles.
Maybe they're just assuming Japanese people don't know what black people are. It's like, oh yeah, sure, that looks like Bison.
I don't know, man. But yeah, actually, a fun thing to mention is this is the first time I've ever seen this, but on Rotten Tomatoes, the audience and the critics totally are in agreement and giving it an 18%.
Nice. That's criminally low for a movie that is...
And obviously... go ahead.
I mean, we've watched a lot worse that has gotten a lot higher ratings.
Oh, yeah. No, certainly we have. K-Pax had a much higher rating than this.
Yeah, which is... And that's that's just mediocrity. Like, this is, I mean, it's definitely not a good movie by any means, but it's just so much fun to watch.
It's entertaining, yeah. And surprisingly, like, the fight scenes really aren't that bad, but they're just few and far between.
Yeah, and it devolves into guns by the end. Like, I was just like, this is a lot of guns for a Street Fighter movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of guns, but no one can shoot, and when they have the opportunity to shoot, they don't.
Yeah, it was really strange. And they were kind of sitting out there in the open when there were these pylons. Well, anyway,
so just a couple more things about the background is, for one, as early as like 2003, Jean-Claude Van Damme was kind of working on a sequel to the 1994 Street Fighter, which we all love. But yeah, and he even like got some of the people to come back, was going to recast and stuff, but apparently that ended up getting scrapped for this.
I think I prefer this over a sequelization of the original.
Yeah, I know, I definitely agree. But okay, so this movie was written by a guy named Justin Marks, and this was his first screenplay after just 3 short films. And he hasn't really done anything since then, but he is currently writing the screenplay for Jon Favreau's Jungle Book movie.
Oh.
Yeah, and he's working on a movie adaptation of the comic FBP, Federal Bureau of Physics, which is actually a really good comic, so I hope that turns out well.
Judging by his work here, I would not say it's going
probably
to.
Not. And the director of this film, whose name I'm probably going to butcher, I would apologize, but I don't really give a fuck about his opinion. His name is Andrzej Bartkowiak?
Bartkowiak, yeah, sure, why not?
But he also directed, he has like 5 credits, but they're amazing, because he did this, Doom, Cradle to the Grave, Exit Wounds, and Romeo Must Die.
And I haven't seen a lot of those, but I'm sure they are all very similar. Because
they
titles
are all
just remind me of the same movie.
Extremely similar. Doom is probably the redhead stepchild of the bunch.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're all kind of like actiony, martial arts movies, and they all have pretty good fight scenes, but they're ultimately forgettable. But he's actually more known as a cinematographer. So he was a DP on a lot of movies like Twins, Falling Down, Speed, and Lethal Weapon 4.
I did see that. That was great.
And that's all we need to know to go into this movie.
Yes, he had a hand in that atrocity. But luckily they went into this with a script. Unfortunately, the script doesn't make as much sense either. I kind of got lost in the plot. It seems to go everywhere, and you think it's so they can shoehorn more characters in, but there's really not that many characters from Street Fighter.
Maybe 5 total?
Yeah, like the most shoehorned characters are the cops, like Chris Klein and Maya, I can't remember the actress's name.
Oh, Moon Bloodgood.
Yeah, that's an awesome name.
Yeah, it is.
I can't believe I forgot it.
Name.
But yeah, I didn't realize this during it either, because Nash, I mean, I've played a lot of Street Fighter, and I didn't recognize that name, but that's the Japanese version of Charlie.
Yeah.
And
because his name's Charlie Nash.
Okay, I never caught that. And then the Maya is Crimson Viper, even though neither of them look... Yeah, that's Crimson Viper in Japan.
Fuck if I know, man. The only ones I caught were, of course, like the ones we kind of already mentioned, and then there was Katana, who was like Bison's third in command or something. But that's all I really noticed.
Yeah, no, she's supposed to be Crimson Viper, and you would have no idea until the final fight scene where she has her hair up in a ponytail. And it kind of looks like Crimson Viper, but not
she doesn't
anything
even
like
fight.
her, really.
She just gets shot and then stays it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, that's a very good example of shoehorning characters in, because the cops have almost no reason to be there except to pad out running time, I guess. Like, that's about what they do.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, and just to give Chris Klein free reign to make the best performance ever committed to Celluloid.
I mean, I hope I hope they went, like, they got halfway through the movie like, you know what, this is boring. We really need someone to beef this up, make it an action movie.
And I really hope he was not. I was really hoping that he was not part of the script whatsoever, and they just brought him in and it's like, yeah, just do whatever. Just do your thing. just play a cop. And he's like, I got you.
I got this. I'm trying to get away from my American Pie typecast. So I'm gonna play a big badass action star.
I already got a catchphrase. I'm good. Check this out.
Catchphrase?
I love this job. Which, actually, he only says twice, once in the beginning and once at the end. But for some reason, I remembered him saying it like 5 times in the movie. And there were so many different scenes where it just kind of like leaves it on his face and he's kind of like shaking his head a little bit. And I was like, he's about to say it, but he didn't. Even at really inopportune and inappropriate times, I thought he was going to say, I love this job.
I mean, his character doesn't make any sense in the first place. I wish they had just gone balls to the wall with him just throwing out action tropes. Just, Chris Klein, I love you for being in this movie.
Yeah, no,
I didn't care about you before this movie.
He has my undying respect and love.
Yes, he nailed it. And by nailing it, I mean he does not nail it at all. That's what's amazing about it.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, let's jump into this movie, which is centric around Chun-Li and the most misleading, boring opening in the world. Because you assume with like a Street Fighter movie, they're going to open up on like a big action scene or something.
No, like that's pretty much what I would thought too, but it's just a horrible voiceover, and then it's just like Golden Gate Bridge, concert pianist, important businessman. Just a bunch of bullshit, and I was just like, all my notes were just like, yeah, this happened. Kung Fu! This happened.
Yeah, and
fighting!
Well, before the credits kick in, it's when we moved to Hong Kong, everything changed. Street Fighter, Legend of Chun-Li. You're like, what? Why in there?
But it takes a good, 10 minutes to get into a fight scene.
Yeah. First we have to go through the moving to their new house with her rich father, him teaching her, I can't remember what kind of martial arts, Mushu, and you watch the mother smiling dotingly, always on the porch. Like that's all the mother does before she gets cancer. She just smiles on a porch.
I wasn't sure if she had cancer or AIDS. I couldn't really tell.
No, she really does look like an AIDS patient.
A little bit, yeah. And I was like, okay, I guess her mom has AIDS. That makes me feel bad for her.
But I just love that she's always in the background, just smiling on the porch down at the father and the daughter. Like
it really seems like they weren't that close.
No, she is that's what's supposed to endear you to the mother. Like, oh, she's such a good mother. She watches from a porch,
and then she gets AIDS.
That's it.
Sorry, cancer.
AIDS.
Cancer,
AIDS. And then we finally get the first fight scene with Michael Clark Duncan and the father.
Hey, you call him the Kingpin. I'm sorry. I miss you, Michael Clark Duncan. You were awesome.
Yeah. But he's very awesome in this movie. They have a cool little fight scene, I guess, and then I love that they're fighting for like 5 minutes, and then once the father, after 5 minutes, the rest of the henchmen decide to run in. It's like, where have you guys been this whole time? Like,
they go through several minutes of a fight scene, and then all of a sudden 3 ninjas run through the door with weapons.
Yeah, guys, come on, this could have been over so much earlier. And then he hits a bottle of wine onto them, which was a cool scene, but then he lights it on fire. And I was like, I don't think wine does that. It's not flammable.
I don't either, but it could have been some other kind of liquor just in a bottle like that. But it was a really cool scene.
Yeah, it was cool. And then the craziest reveal ever with Neil McDonough as Bison, the militaristic fascist Soviet character of Street Fighter. They decide an Irishman needs to play him.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Which, by the way, just the nationality of people in this movie is just baffling. Because even the lady that plays Chun-Li, her name's Kristen Kriok. She is half Asian, but she's half Chinese. She's half Dutch and half Indonesian-born Chinese. So, but also she's Canadian. Mm-hmm. But she just comes from that ancestry. But yeah, and she is playing a Japanese character, and it's funny because as a child she looks extremely Asian, and she does look more Japanese. But then as she grows older, she loses that.
Yeah, no, they spray her tan, just slightly tan, and that's supposed to make her look more Asian.
Yeah, but again, it's not that big of a deal when it comes to it. But yeah, it's kind of all over the place. And even, Bison, he's Irish. He's Irish that was raised in Bangkok. But even, there's a scene later on in the movie where they show him as a baby, and he is an Asian baby.
I missed that. I didn't see that. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. No, because I was wondering, because I was thinking, maybe they just changed Bison to be Irish. Maybe they just don't care. But then his daughter comes into play, and when they're talking, she says "spasibo," which is Russian for thank you. I was like, wait, they are Russian? Like, why is he is not even approximating a Russian accent. He's just being Irish. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
Which I guess maybe they just played, like, they cast him, so they just kind of played it up to his sensibilities and kind of what he looks like and what he could do.
Yeah, but it's Bison. Like, there is... I mean, I understand if you want to change the game around a little bit, that's all right. Like, it's not supposed to be just like the game. But for a movie that tries to harp on the game so much, it gets so bafflingly far away at the same time.
Yeah, well, you gotta fucking pick something and stick with it.
Yeah, you can't try and do lip service to the fans and then change these very easy things.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird. I also want to say about the final fight scene, after, like, Bison lovingly looks at this girl and says, "A gentleman would never harm a schoolgirl," which is a strange line.
It's creepy because he touches her face too.
Yeah, and then he just stares at her lustily almost as she's walking back up the stairs. Like, very strange scene. But after this, all this happened, I think they realized, oh shit, the mother's in the house too. How do we shoehorn her in? And so when they're dragging the father to the car, you just kind of see the mother casually jog into frame. You hear, it cuts back to Chun-Li, you hear a hit, and then you cut back and she's on the ground.
Yeah, apparently Balrog punched her in the fucking face.
Yeah, but they don't show it. I want to say this movie was supposed to be R, or they were gonna rate it R, so they had to cut out some things. I want to say it was too violent.
It could have been, yeah, and there were, especially during the end fight scene with all the guns and stuff, there was, like, some CGI blood and people getting shot in the head and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
I could see they maybe trimmed back a bit to get it PG-13.
I imagine that had to happen, because there's another scene where a woman gets beat while she's tied up, but I want to say that that's played more cartoonish, and she was a villain.
I don't think it's played cartoonish per se. It's actually
really not,
played pretty fucking dark.
It's pretty, yeah. I want to say the punching was what was cartoonish. Like, it has that Indiana Jones punching sound effect.
It does. Well, basically, right next to him, Balrog is, like, hitting a punching bag, and it's making the same sounds when he's hitting this woman in the face as it is when he's hitting the punching bag. Except
that blood's spurting onto Bison's face as he does this. Oh, this movie's insane.
Yeah.
So then we get to Chun-Li, the Canadian Chinese girl, whatever, as she's a concert pianist, and
she's
I don't
good,
know.
I guess.
Yeah, she's good. And then I love that they cut to the back room, and her friend looks more Asian than she does. And I'm just like, guys, you like this really? Y'all should have reversed this casting. It might have looked better.
Yeah, I don't know. I totally liked her in this movie though.
I like her. Enough, it's just trying to play up the Chinese aspect just did not work for it. Yeah. It was obviously not there. Then a guy gets beat up at a subway. We see a spider web on his hand, obviously foreshadowing. Like, they make sure to hold on it for a second, so you know it's going to come back.
Well, not only that, they do also do a flashback to it about 10 minutes later.
Love the flashback. Then we go to the home where we find out about the cancer mother AIDS. And
no, her name's just Mother AIDS, but she has cancer.
Mama AIDS. She's like, you're just like your father, standing up when it's not easy.
That is not her accent whatsoever.
No, that's what Cancer Mother Age sounds like. And we find out about Bison's evil plan. It's stupid.
Yeah, he's just basically getting power from everyone. He's bilingual. Yeah. It's nice.
it's a good thing for him. Then we get the introduction we were all waiting for, where we are first introduced to a lady cop who it turns out to be Maya in apparently leather bondage type gear. Like, she is just dressed in leather and like a lot of jewelry. Like, she does not look like a cop in any way. And then a car rolls up playing hip hop, and we see
best music intro ever.
Oh, it is. And I remember this scene being played in slow motion, but I don't think it is. I think Chris Klein is just trying to move slowly and smoothly, so it looks like he's in slow motion.
He totally does. That's something he does throughout a lot of the movie. And I remember that too. I was like, wasn't this in slow-mo? Like, and it was all badass and shot cool. It's like, no, he's just fucking crawling like a snail through the scene. But the best thing I love about this music intro is it is like really generic hip-hop music, but it's not like it's playing over the scene like it's the score of the movie. No, it's actually coming from inside of his car, and once he closes the door, the music muffles. So, like, that's what he's jamming out to as he comes up to a crime scene where there's people's heads on plates in a warehouse.
Yeah. Chris Klein he brings his own soundtrack, and he crawls like he's in slow motion. Like, if he is a real person, he is just always thinking he is actually in a movie.
He is always in his own little cinematic universe.
Yeah, it's so awesome. And of course, he and the lady cop have almost instantaneous sexual tension that is inexplicable.
While also having absolutely no chemistry.
Yes. It's the weirdest thing. And they're looking at heads and they're just acting
that's the funniest
like they're
part.
Flirting.
This is where the first instance of it, or the first of two instances of his catchphrase comes up, and he gets out of the car and starts walking up towards the warehouse where there are people's decapitated heads inside, and there's just been a fucking mob hit, and he's just like, I love this job.
Oh my god. Oh, Chris Klein.
And he's cracking jokes like saying, oh, it's like the Last Supper. Yeah. Just all 80 hard, like, trying to be funny lines. But yeah, and they're just instantly flirting with each other while looking at a grotesque scene in this warehouse.
Insanity. Just absolute insanity. Then
her mom dies.
Well, first I'm going to tell you about, we go to the prison where apparently Bison blackmails Chun-Li's father. Like, for years he's been doing this with pictures of Chun-Li, threatening to kill her if he doesn't do it. So he lives in a prison and apparently just looks at pictures of his daughter all day. Like, you walk in and there are just 3 pictures of Chun-Li, like, all lined up together.
Yeah, I think he he does that, and then he supplies his connections for Bison, because apparently he's we never even found out what the fuck he did, but he was just referred to as a well-connected businessman. So he uses him for his connections, and he like sets up meetings for him or something, I guess.
Yeah, like he's referred to later by Bison as his milk or something like that. His milk.
Yeah, pretty much his milk. Well, even in that scene where they're talking, he's like, okay, so I need to meet with the heads of government or whatever. He's like, I'm gonna need their contacts. So that's what he does for him. He supplies contacts. That
is the craziest thing I've ever heard. I didn't even notice that. Like,
even though Bison is like ridiculously filthy rich and can probably do this himself by just bribing people.
Yeah, there are easier ways to go about this. Like, because is he actually contacting these people and setting up meetings, or is he just giving them their contact information? Which
I think both.
Okay, why not? Yeah, we never find out. He's just an important businessman with quotation marks around it. That's all we really know about him, and that he has connections, apparently. But yeah, so then the mother dies, and I love that after, like, it's played like you're supposed to feel some sort of sympathy for this mother character when she has done absolutely nothing throughout the movie.
She's had like 3 lines.
Yeah, and they're all pretty generic, and Chun-Li has all these servants that are also Asian, and I love her voiceovers. With my mother gone, the path in front of me was empty. It's like, what? You're a fucking concert pianist. Like, it seems like you're doing pretty good. What do you mean it's empty?
Yeah, you obviously have plenty of money. Like, I think you're pretty much set for life.
Yeah, but instead, she gets a scroll and decides to go to Asia, where another man, and this is my favorite, like, I love these flashback scenes, but she gets kind of swept into a store, and this very oddly, like, it's played for intensity, as this man just kind of sweeps around her and pushes her into a store, and you see another spider web on his hand, and then, like, she gets the lady in the shop who happens to be able to read scrolls, who has a spider on her hand, so if not enough foreshadowing already, another one for there, and she reads the scroll, and there's a spider web on the page, the same one we've already seen twice within a 10-minute span, and not like a minute ago. And they decide to do a sepia-toned flashback of the 2 scenes of where we saw the spider web on the hand, just in case you missed it.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing they flash back to those 2 web tattoo things that just happened, because I had already completely forgot. You know, I have attention span of a 3-year-old, like most of the general American audience.
I had already pulled out some action figures, so I was pretty confused at what was going on. I was crashing them together. I think I had a Batmobile. I don't even remember now.
Yeah, I was already making Boba Fett and Batman kiss each other. Like, I don't know what was going on.
There was some weird stuff happening during the scene, but that got me back in.
It was my bath time. You know what I do with action figures in the bathtub. How was I supposed to pay attention? By the way, I want to say one thing about the spiderweb tattoos on the hand. That kept reminding me of something, and I couldn't think of it until just now. But it reminds me of the fucking spider tattoos on the hand from that movie, The New Guy, from like 2004. Starred like DJ Qualls.
Yeah.
Like that was the thing. That. Like he got a spider tattoo on his hand while he like went to prison to find out how to be cool, so that like he's like brothers with all the other people that have spider tattoos on their hands, and that's what it kept reminding me of.
I forgot he did that. I've forgotten that movie completely.
On the table.
Nice.
By the way, after watching this, I totally think we need to put Dragon Ball Evolution on the table because I still haven't seen that. But this reminds me a lot of what I have seen of it. Like, it kind of looks the same kind of style when it comes to fight scenes.
As long as you don't recommend Avatar, I'm not watching that again.
Wait, The Last Airbender? Or the James Cameron
movie? Oh yeah. I don't think anyone's forgotten about James Cameron movie. But yes, the Last Airbender, that movie. It's horrible.
I haven't seen
even with riff tracks.
Oh.
No, they're funny. Just it's a bad.
Why
movie.
doesn't this movie have a riff tracks?
I guess it wasn't popular enough, and they're like, no one owns Street Fighter, and no one wants to rent it, so we can't.
Well, we fucking rented it. We rented it and watched it together several years ago.
We did. We should write them a letter. I think you were remiss in passing over Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li.
This movie has already gotten far too much money from us as a $2 rental.
Yeah. We have really gone all out on this movie. We have given it far too much money. I don't know. Maybe we should keep giving it money until they make another one. Until they do the Ryu follow-up that they promise.
So many $2 rentals.
So much $2.
We'll rent it every week until this happens. They'll figure it out. They'll be like, okay, in this one location, there's been a rental every week, and it's been the only one in America.
I think our demos in this small city in Alabama. Yeah. I think that's who we need to gear the movie towards. So then we move on to the cop headquarters with Chris Klein and Maya again, and his line is. It's talking about, like, what are you here to do? Something I can't remember. And he says, I wouldn't be in this ashtray if it was. Like, what? Are you talking about Bangkok? The headquarters? The headquarters look pretty nice. I don't know what you're...
My favorite line of his in this scene is when he's discussing Bison, and he's, like, telling her about him, and he's like, yeah, this guy walks through the raindrops.
I had that in my note after is God bless Chris Klein.
That was immediately when I was like, there is not enough of him in this movie.
Oh, he instantly elevates every scene he's in, and he never gets old. Like, I don't know if he would have played better, like more if he was played more, but maybe he's just the right amount to where we don't get tired of it.
Maybe it is just the right amount, but I found that every time he wasn't on screen, I was missing him in my heart. He's like this. It's like he's doing this form of parody that he doesn't know he's actually doing, and it's so amazing for that. Yes.
Then Chun-Li leaves home.
Okay, I do want to say something about her leaving home. She has this whole big kind of emotional scene where she's like saying goodbye to all of her servants. And I'm sorry, but the way she's playing it, I'm just like, she doesn't know any of their fucking names. Like, no. she's like going around like shaking their hands, hugging them, like looking all sad. But she like doesn't say like, oh, I'm gonna miss you the most, Jabberwocky. Like she just like looks and she's like, yeah. And then she moves on. She's like, I don't know your name either. All right, old guy that's been with me since childhood. I'm gonna miss you, guy.
Yeah, she's just like, I'll call you. I'll get you back, or I'll call you when I come back. She says something like that. Like, what? But you're supposed to be leaving your life. I don't understand. And like, then she has this whole voiceover, and as it was written in the scrolls, I had to forget everything I was. I had to lose myself in the streets. I had to become one with Bangkok. Is that what the scroll said?
Yeah,
I don't think it was.
Kind of something, or maybe there was a lot of scroll. Man, she didn't read all of it, but basically, yeah, her losing herself in the streets of Bangkok basically just means that she walks around a lot. And she allegedly sleeps on the streets and has to fight for meals and stuff, but every day she is wearing a different outfit while only carrying a very tiny bag with her, and she always looks clean and freshly bathed and has makeup on.
Yeah, no, she looks great for being homeless in Bangkok. Like, I'm sure that would be a hard life.
Yeah.
And, yeah, we don't see her fight for any meals either. She is like, well, yeah, I had to fight for meals, and looks like some, like, rough homeless people, and then she's just kind of eating in a corner. Like, you didn't have to fight for that meal, it doesn't look like.
And there's even one scene where, like, she walks up, and she actually does look a little dirty and sweaty, and she walks up to past all this food, and she's like, oh, I'm so hungry. And she looks at these egg rolls, and the lady's like tries to hand her one, and she's like, oh, and then she pulls out fucking money she has to buy food and tries to give it to her, and she's like, no, you can have it. And she's like, oh, my life is so hard. And then she walks away eating an egg roll.
Yeah. And another thing about the woman with the egg roll, she has a spider on her hand, which comes back in a little bit later, just like the last time.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then we go to the fight scene with a very overtly American guy and then some other Chinese people or Asian people.
Well, because that guy had a line and we needed to be able to understand it.
Yes, because even though they could subtitle it like they do half the movie.
No, there was very little subtitling going on. Mostly, I think the only time it's ever really subtitled is when the father talks and when Bison's daughter talks.
Really?
That's the only time I ever really recognized a good bit of subtitling. There might have been a little bit more sprinkled throughout, but there wasn't a whole lot. Pretty much everybody spoke English in this movie.
Huh. I'm wondering if I saw a different version then.
I don't think so. I watched the regular 96-minute version.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if they have a voiced over one instead, because I felt like it's like at like the Bison meeting, were they talking in different languages?
Yeah, no, they totally were.
Okay,
That's why I said that's kind of a small scene where it happens, and that's where you find out that Bison is multilingual.
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying is that they do. It's not like they have whole dialogues with subtitling, but they do random lines. Why couldn't that have?
Yeah,
been
it's like a line or two
line?
at a time. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on, she beats these guys up, and once again, the fight scenes are cool. I like them.
Yeah, but it does apparently
play well.
take a lot out of her. So like, if Gin hadn't come along and just straight up tooken her, like, she would have been dead and raped a million times.
Oh yeah,
because those guys were gonna get up, and she was just out.
Yeah, it was strange how much. Yeah. Anyway, so Jin takes her back to his lair. Gin, yeah.
Who is played by Liu Kang.
Yes. He is Robin Shu.
Robin Shu, yeah.
Yeah, and he is in every generic action martial arts movie there is. He's
apparently
kind of your go-to guy.
Just about any video game movie as well, because he was in both the Mortal Kombat movies. I think there was like a DOA movie that he was also in.
Yep. Yeah.
And more recently, he's been in like the Death Race sequels. The Death Race sequels to the Death Race remake.
Yes. The Death Race 2 was awesome. I love that movie. I think it was 2. It was really good.
I haven't seen any of them other than Death Race 2000, the original one. That's the only one I've seen.
Yeah. No, you should watch 2. It's kind of like Crank 2, where they just kind of like, you know what? We're just getting rid of the plot. We know what you're here for. Cars, action, blah blah blah. Let's jump into it. So, pretty fun, actually.
Cool. I will definitely check that out.
So, then we go to Jin's lair, where he shows her his Order of the Web necklace, where we have the other flashback back to every other spider web and spider thing we have seen up to this point.
And we're only like half an hour into the movie, so it's not like you had that much time to forget.
No, they are sure that you were gonna forget about these spider web foreshadowing things.
I guess they just assume, and probably correctly, that people just kind of their eyes start wandering off the screen all the time. So that you probably didn't see that tattoo right there.
Yeah, well, I mean, Chris Klein has been gone for a little while, so. Then he takes her through the streets to explain. He's like, let me show you what you're up against. And so he takes her through the slums, not showing her what she's up against at all. And weird.
Yeah.
And then they had their fight scene. I love his lines. Like, this movie, something I want to point out is this movie is like a classic example of like the antiquated Orientalism, where everything just, like, there's this reverence about Asia, and like everything they play everything like it's so mystical over there, and it's also mysterious, and just anything Asian is instantly deep in some way.
Oh yeah, and usually even going as far as having supernatural powers.
Yes, exactly. And I love that during their fight scene, Gin is just spouting off these like backward like slogan type, like Confucianism type things, and they don't really make sense or apply to the situation. So he's like, they're fighting, and he's like, anger isn't going to guide you. But she wasn't angry. Like, they're not angry at each other. They're just like sparring, right?
Yeah, I don't know. She's angry just at Bison and about her father. She's angry about everything. She's got daddy issues.
Yeah, well, that's true. Then I love their back and forth, like, why are you mad right now? Because you're hurting me. No, you're hurting yourself. Like, oh, good.
Yeah, no, he's just basically like any kind of sensei or master character that's imparted his wisdom and training her, and there's a whole training montage. Like, that's what he's there to be, pretty much.
Yeah, but it's like someone... I mean, I guess they're just as bad in other movies. I just don't remember those as much. Like, Yoda's a lot deeper than this guy.
Fucking Mr. Miyagi is a lot deeper than this guy.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I also love, he shows her how to shoot a fireball, and of course, he draws a yin-yang with his feet. Like,
yeah.
just
because... by the way, when he does that, he builds this energy ball, and then he shoots it, and he fucks up his own house. Like, he breaks, like, stone, like concrete with it.
It makes you wonder, has he ever done that before? Like, is that his first time, and he got lucky? Like, where has he been shooting these fireballs otherwise?
Yeah, it's like, you just caused about $25,000 of damage to your own house, dude.
It looked pretty open in the first place, so maybe he doesn't care. Maybe that's what happened to all the other walls.
It's cool. I was expanding that room anyway.
I was remodeling. I was going to build you a bunk bed.
Which, by the way, I'm very surprised that they didn't make Gin more comedic in this movie. I kind of thought he would be more kind of like the jokey kind of sensei. Like, yeah, he's teaching her things, but he's also just making really terrible puns and jokes and stuff. But not too much of that. Robin Shou was kind of underused in this movie in that regard.
It was. Well, everyone was kind of, except for Chris Klein, like, everyone's taking this way too seriously. And I think that plays to the movie. I think it strengthens it a little bit, but everyone is taking this way too seriously for a Street Fighter movie.
So do you think Chris Klein's character is like the audience surrogate for the movie? Like, everyone else taking it way too seriously, and Chris Klein is like, come on, guys, I know what's up. I'm here with you.
I know what I'm doing. I wonder how aware Chris Klein is of what he's doing. Like, if the director's like, Chris, what are you doing? And he's just like, nah, man, I'm just gonna keep doing it this way. It's gonna work.
It's like, trust me, after this movie comes out and bombs horribly, which it will, the only thing anyone's gonna talk about is gonna be my fucking performance. You remember that. Why don't you go work on Lethal Weapon 5, dick?
Mr. Bert Kowiak, whatever your fucking name is.
Man, I'm just gonna imagine all the... I imagine Chris Klein just being a complete dick to everybody on the set, because he knows what kind of movie he's in. He's like, nah, you fuckers don't even understand. I'm the star here. People are gonna talk about me when this is over.
And we're talking about him, and I think we're somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
We're in the know. So let's jump ahead to the stakeout, not the daytime stakeout.
Oh, yes, please.
Where once again the girl cop is dressing way too sexy for her job. Like, just she consistently looks like she's about to go clubbing. Yeah, at some point.
Pretty much, it's not very good for like running, chasing people, fighting, anything like that.
Or being taken professionally, for one. But that's her choice, I suppose. But, so they're staking out, and I can't remember, like, someone comes out of a car or something, and Chris Klein is like, quick, and, like, grabs her head, and they start making out. Very inexplicably, because they're not really all that close to the people that they're watching.
No, and it's not like they know them or anything either.
Yeah, so they would just think they're two people watching other people in a car. Like, if they make eye contact, it's easy enough to just kind of avert your eyes, and it looks natural enough.
Yeah, they could have just stared forward instead of to the side, they probably would have been fine, because they were like a good 100 feet away from where they... But I kind of think this wasn't in the script either. I kind of think this is just like a trick by Chris Klein. He just like, no, I'm improvising. I'm making them better. I was like, no, they're gonna see it, so we got to make out, right? So he just like went for it.
Yeah, come on. It's this is what happens in buddy cop movies, right?
Yeah, Chris Klein makeout party.
And after they get done, he's like, that had to be done. And she's like, yeah, it had to. It's just like, they're trying to play on this sexual tension that is awkward in the first place, because, once again, they don't have any chemistry. And so these line readings just come out so bland and horrible. It's just, I feel like this has to be self-aware at some point.
It does, especially their next scene together in her apartment.
Yeah, where she has some golden handcuffs on the bed, and Chris Klein gives the best, like, eye squint ever. He's just like,
But just, like, their sexual tension, the way they're flirting with each other, like, as she's walking out, like, Chris Klein makes a comment about the handcuffs on the bed, and she's like, yeah, I never lose my man. It's like, plus, I'll try anything once. And the look of utter amazement and joy on Chris Klein's face at hearing that is brilliant. Because he just looks like his eyes lit up with a million ideas, and he's just really, like anal.
Like, his face goes through phases. Like, at first it's just like extremely surprised, then it's pleasantly surprised, then it goes right back to cool.
And then it goes to like, pervertedly surprised, and then he goes back to, yeah, I got this.
Yeah, he is so confident in himself. Amazing. Then,
as he should be.
Yeah, and then there's a scene that I imagine was thrown in just to get more Chris Klein in there, like you say, because there's another stakeout, and they had this awkward back and forth that didn't really need to be there, where she's like, hey, give me some money, I want to go get some food. And he kind of stares at her, and she's like, what, I don't have any cash. And he says, you should try hawking those gold handcuffs. And I don't understand why this scene was there. Like, it's not funny, and it just calls back to something that was already called back to.
Yeah, that was literally just 2 minutes ago called back to. But not only that, but that whole scene of them out there is completely ridiculous and unnecessary, because there's even a part where, like, Katana shows up at the club, and there's someone, like, inside the club, or outside of it, kind of being like, oh, they're here. And then it just goes back to them in the car, her and her walkie-talkie being like, oh, what, is she going in? I can't see her. For no fucking reason.
Yeah, and their presence there doesn't accomplish anything.
No, by the time it cuts back to them outside when shit starts going down, Chris Klein's asleep in the car.
Yeah. But even, like, after the whole Chun-Li thing, like, they don't even help Chun-Li, do they? I don't remember them doing anything.
No, well, they don't know her at that point. So basically, they just... he busts in after she just, like, kicked a bunch of dudes' asses, and then he tells everyone to freeze, and she runs away, and they share a moment in the eyes.
Okay, yeah. I guess that's their whole thing. Anyway, so...
Well, apparently there is an unrated version of this movie, and there's more subplot dealing with Chris Klein and Chun-Li's alliance. So, like, it's kind of weird, because basically they had this one moment, he kind of finds out who she is, and then she randomly comes to his apartment to ask for his help. But apparently there's a little bit more to that, so I guess there's more scenes where they come in contact with each other, and they slowly form an alliance. That
scene was really fucking short. That makes sense. But I absolutely do not want to see the unrated version of this movie. I don't think I can take any more of this movie.
If it has more Chris Klein, I am all for it.
I'd like to see it just to see if...
I would like to just watch the deleted scenes. I don't want to watch the unrated movie. I just want to watch the scenes that are added back in.
I would like to see... I want to say we did that when we rented it.
I think we probably did watch the unrated version. I'm not completely sure, but fuck if I know. No, I couldn't tell the difference.
I think we watched the deleted scenes because we wanted to see more Chris Klein. I'm pretty sure that happened.
I'm pretty sure we were disappointed, too.
Yeah, I think so. So the Chun-Li has this really awkward dance with Katana, who's apparently a lesbian, and, like, it's just this weird, like, they're kind of, like, gyrating at each other, and then they're kind of walking in a circle while, like, all the time staring deep into each other's eyes, like, to the point where it'd be uncomfortable, I would imagine.
It is a Bangkok dance club, and we're basically witnessing an Asian blue is the warmest color. They are in love.
I like it. They've just fallen in love. And then we get a bathroom fight, and it's pretty cool.
A water bathroom fight.
A water bathroom
because they both get soaked.
Yeah, even though it seems like the water immediately disappears.
Yeah, it kind of does, and they don't play it up like too... Well, there is a lot of sexiness in the scene with them fighting, but not with the water, surprisingly. I totally expected them to be like start fighting covered in water and wet t-shirts and stuff, but that didn't happen. The fight ended pretty much a minute after the water broke and water started spraying everywhere, and we don't really see them get wet. But everything before that is very much like a sexy cat fight.
Yeah. Yeah. But it doesn't play that way, oddly. I mean, which is fine. I'm glad it didn't. I think that would take the movie down in my estimation. I'm glad they didn't go for the... Except for Maya, they don't really go for the sexualization of the characters, which is it's kind of a breath of fresh air in something like this.
Yeah, not too much. I mean, that character is pretty much just there as a Chris Klein sexual object. But other than that, there is like some sexuality between Chun-Li and Katana, but it's not overdone. There is a little bit in the fight scene with like her pulling on her legs and her dress kind of going up and stuff before like that.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But it's not nearly as much as it could have been.
Oh yeah, it could have been much worse.
But so we go from this to the scene we talked about with Bison punching Katana. It's kind of fucking brutal.
It is absolutely brutal, especially for a PG-13 movie, because it does, like, you don't see that it's Katana at first, and it's just, you see Balrog punching a punching bag, and then you assume Bison is also punching a punching bag to kind of, like, work out and shit. And then all of a sudden he does one hit, and blood splatters on his face, and then it kind of cuts around to see that he was just beating the fuck out of Katana. Which, by the way, I'm not completely sure. Is that the same actress that has been playing Katana this whole time? Because it doesn't look like her.
It didn't really. I wonder if they...
I know she's kind of fucked up and covered in blood, but I really don't think it's the same actress. I was like, is that Katana? I can't fucking tell. That doesn't look like Katana that we've seen in this movie so far.
It didn't. It was weird, but...
It was her stunt double. Because Neil McDonough, like, he was fucking her up.
He's method, man. He's not gonna fake punch a girl.
He's a method actor, yeah. And they did like 20 takes. She was actually dead at the end of that scene. The movie is dedicated to her memory. If you watch the credits,
that'd be awesome. I want to take this next part because we go back to Chris Klein and Maya talking, like going over what they think happened. I want to do a line read.
My favorite line of the movie. I know what you're doing.
Oh, it's so great. So Maya, she says, they're trying to think about what could happen, like maybe an angry stripper. And so Chris Klein says, yeah, an irate pole dancer unhappy with her tits sets up. Sorry. Yeah, an irate pole dancer unhappy with her tips sets off Armageddon. Keep spitballing that, Maya. I love where your head's at.
that was a good delivery.
Thank you.
Yeah, but they're talking about wondering who Chun-Li was, and that is the thing. I will just give one little critique to your thing. There's a weird thing he does with his voice during that line where it kind of like goes in hills.
Yeah,
he's kind of like an irate pole dancer, unhappy with her tips. like he's just trying to make it as ridiculous as possible. Just like, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah. I didn't say it nearly as condescendingly as he does.
But yeah, no, that was still great, and that was my favorite Nash line of the movie.
Oh yes, it was. It was wonderful. God bless you, Chris Klein. Then we find out about Bison and his fish stealing past, and I love that the whole thing is he finds out that dark forces could free a man from his conscience, so he marries a woman that he impregnates. And he has to transfer the contents of his soul to his unborn child, so he has to kill his bride. But in doing that, isn't he pretty conscienceless already? Like, why does he have to lose the rest of it?
Yeah, exactly. And another thing with that, if he has no conscience now, and if he is just all bad and no good, why does he give a fuck about his daughter and getting her back and being with her? That sounds like he has some good left in him, if he wants to be a good father all of a sudden, 17 years later. Maybe
the idea is that he still has vanity. Since he doesn't have a conscience, he gives into vanity, and so that's part of his vanity. But I mean, it's definitely not explained that way. It's definitely... No, it doesn't make any sense. But if you wanted to to shoot for a real answer, I guess that would be it.
Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, then Jen gets blowed up.
Jen gets blowed up, and Chun-Li, instead of looking for a body, she sees his necklace and immediately assumes he's dead.
Yeah, well, I mean, fuck looking for body parts or any survivors that might be in there. Just, oh my god, his necklace. There's no way that could have fallen off or not even been on him when this happened.
Yeah, and then Bison sends Vega after Chun-Li.
Oh my god, okay, this is the one thing that I really hate about this movie, is that this is the most disappointing fucking scene ever.
Oh my god, it's so...
It is like a 3-minute long fight scene. Vega goes out like a bitch, and it's only the second time he's kind of in the movie, and the first time he apparently like just slice and diced all the fucking like mob heads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he's supposed to be a badass, but literally like he follows Chun-Li, who immediately escapes him and gets the upper hand on him. They go through like a 3-minute long fight scene where he at no point has the upper hand on her, and then she just leaves him hanging, and that's it.
Yeah.
By the way, I will say one more thing about Vega.
Mm-hmm.
That mask, that's gotta fuck up his peripherals. That's probably why he did so bad. Like, that's not very good for fighting. He couldn't see anybody coming.
He also can't breathe. Like, he has to run out of breath pretty quickly wearing that mask. There's no breathe holes anywhere.
Yeah, it's not just like a little like mask like it kind of is in the video game and stuff. It's like a really big, heavy metal mask over his face.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he can see anything. And I love that after his mask comes off, she looks at his face and she says, "I'd hide that face too." It's like, what? His face is fine. Like, I don't...
That's why he wears the mask, so it doesn't fuck up his face.
Yeah, he wants to... Yeah, because in the video... Well, and that's another thing. This guy was... I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be like the video game, but Vega's supposed to be kind of a she-male kind of thing. Like, you're kind of confused about his sex.
Yeah, it's also supposed to be a Spaniard.
Yeah, well, that too. It's all sorts of weird, and it's highly disappointing for one of the most loved characters of Street Fighter.
And this is also what I want to know about this, because Vega in this movie is Taboo from the Black Eyed Peas, who I would not have known that unless I looked it up on IMDb, because I know jack shit about the Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah,
but I wonder, like, is this his foray
into...
Yeah, I thought he was some kind of like Asian actor that's good at martial arts or something, but no, it's the dude from the Black Eyed Peas. So was this his foray into film? Like, was he trying to cross over into a film career, and has he done anything since? Because I didn't look at his IMDb.
I did, actually. Let me pull it up real quick. He's mostly for filmography, but he is also, after Street Fighter, he is in James E. Boy, filmed in 2014.
Oh.
Don't know what it is.
That's my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, he was excellent. But he was also... he's apparently in a movie called Fist of Cheese, too. That was his first movie. I'm done with Taboo.
Yeah.
All right.
You and everyone else is done with Taboo.
So then... Chun-Li goes to beat up a shipment manager to get information. Chris Klein's headquarters is shut down.
Yeah, sad Chris Klein. That was actually another moment, like when she kind of like he's talking to Maya, and he's just like, "What? So that's it? You're done? That's it? We're not going to do more?" And then she kind of like, "Yeah, we can't do anything else," and walks away. I totally thought he was going to be like, "I love this job."
That would have been awesome.
Like, I just kept seeing there kept being moments where there was just like blank space in Chris Klein, and they just let it linger for a second. I think they kept waiting for him to throw in his catchphrase, and he just wouldn't do it. He was like, no, I know when it's right.
I bet he did say it, and they just cut it. Just the guy like, Chris, what are you doing to my movie?
Yeah, it's like, come on, that doesn't fit there.
I don't know why we're doing Italian accents.
It was like, how am I supposed to have a catchphrase if you don't let me say it more than 2 times?
So this is gonna sell, man. There's gonna be dolls with pull strings. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh God, please, somebody, internet, please make that. I will pay top dollar for a Nash doll that talks.
It'd be we need to get on that. That's an idea. Let's talk to Todd McFarlane.
Actually, fuck this podcast. Let's quit. Let's just go make Nash dolls for a living.
We're gonna make millions from the huge Nash fan base.
All 12 of us.
Of which, yes, we are 2 already. Yes.
Okay, so what happens from here? She does get information from a dock worker, but apparently it's a setup. And so she goes to the dock and gets shot at. She escapes or whatever.
But she gets caught. Well, I love when she gets caught because you see a foot go down on her hand, and the camera pans up to show McDonough just looking off into the distance as if he didn't just do that. Like,
did you notice also during that scene when he steps on her hand and it pans up and he's like looking off longingly like he's a superhero or something?
Yeah.
Did you notice that the boom mic drops down into the shot?
It was so obvious. Like, I was like, maybe they just assumed they could play it off like a gun barrel. But yeah, that was definitely a boom mic in the scene.
That made me laugh so fucking hard. I rewatched that twice to make sure, because I didn't notice that the first time we watched it.
Yeah, I didn't either. Like I said, it kind of looks like it could be a gun barrel, but it is definitely a boom mic.
So then we cut to her being captured, where she's reunited with her father for Daddy Issues, the movie.
Yeah, and I just want to point out that emotional resonance is earned, not displayed through tired tropes like this movie is trying to do. Like,
and also,
we're supposed to.
Oh, go ahead.
That was why are we supposed to care about her father? Like, all I know is that she's been doing this the whole movie for him, but I still don't care about her or her father.
Yeah, and their relationship is fucking weird and creepy anyway. Because again, the mom didn't seem to really be there. They really bonded and spent a lot of time together, if you know what I mean. And then when they're finally reunited, they're like almost like forehead to forehead, just like they look like they're in love, not like father and daughter. Like I kept looking, I was just like, make out. I know you want to make out.
You would think. And then Bison, because he's a man of his word. Because I was wondering why they even captured her in the first place if they're just going to kill her, but he promised her father he would give her a chance to say goodbye.
Well, and also so he could be a dick and make her watch him kill her father.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's part of his masochist thing. And so then he snaps his neck, which we don't see at all because they needed the PG-13 rating, I'm guessing. And then he's just like, okay, do it. And there's this elaborate setup they have where they lift her into the air for some reason. Like, I don't even understand why they did that.
I guess instead of just, like, Bison breaking her neck or just someone breaking her neck or killing her, quietly or cleanly, they're just, like, gonna gut her or something, I guess?
Yeah, because she's been such a nuisance. I don't... Anyway, so they lift her up into the air in this crazy contraption. Bison and Balrog make every villain's mistake and leave instead of watching her die.
And leaving two lowly henchmen to take care of someone that's been causing so much trouble and beating up all their fucking guys.
Yeah, and so what happens? Chun-Li beats up the guys and escapes.
Of course.
Surprise, surprise.
Then we have a really boring chase scene.
Yeah,
through the streets of Bangkok.
Yes, I do love... So, let's just skip that. But we get to Michael Clark Duncan, who up to this point has not used a gun, but now all of a sudden he has one. And there's this really contrived scene of a kid, which didn't need to be there. It didn't make any sense why this would happen, why the movie needed this to happen. But a child runs out in the middle of the street after a ball, and Chun-Li dives after him as if Balrog's about to shoot the kid and turns her back.
No, he was gonna shoot Chun-Li.
I know. It didn't make sense. I mean, I guess she just wanted to make sure that kid wasn't gonna get shot.
Yeah,
but he probably wasn't.
But
until she dived at him.
I love the conceit that gets the scene to stop, because obviously he could have still just shot one more time and killed her, but some lady throws a tiny watermelon at his head, and then he's like, oh no, my one weakness, small fruit. and then they just all leave because people throw food at them.
Yes, everyone decides to join in and throw more watermelons at them. Imagine if that happened in Indiana Jones, during the knife gun scene.
He shot him, and then everyone just started throwing bad fruit at Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
He's like, oh my god, let's get out of here.
we gotta leave. Anyway, so
Genna's alive.
Yeah, she's like, you're alive
because
of course a necklace doesn't signify instant death.
Yeah.
And he says, soon you won't need me anymore. Now let's find the white rose. And that's
yeah, he heals her wound while she's in a bathtub. So he saw her naked.
Yeah. She goes to talk to the dock worker again, and she's like, you wouldn't set me up twice now, would you? And of course, she knows he's going to set her up.
Well, I mean, I think obviously he's gonna tell somebody, but when she leaves, there's this little bit of a linger on his face, and he totally has the expression of like, I should have asked her out.
I really think I just missed an opportunity.
Yeah, but then we cut to the alliance scene. Where Chun-Li shows up at Nash's apartment, and what Nash is doing is apparently he's sad now, so he's like just drinking scotch and listening to hip-hop in his apartment.
And then immediately, like, when she says hello to him, he just drops his glass. Like, he's not even scared. Like, it's not like, he's like, oh my god, someone's in here. He just kind of drops his glass, like, oh, it's you. Even though he has no idea who she is.
Well,
really
Chris
strange
Klein is known for Butterfingers.
Caught all them old Butterfingers back at the Ivy League. And so then we get to the final set piece. Well, the second to last final set piece, I guess, which is the Sting. And it's stupid.
But we do get a Nash bomb jump.
Mm-hmm. We do get that. There's this really nonsensical string of lines, which is first, so it's Chris Klein and his guys to help Chun-Li, because apparently the girl's not there anymore, Maya. Then we get Maya and the rest of the cops driving up to a Sting and 10 cop cars with lights going.
Lights going, making a lot of noise. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, that's how you quietly provide backup.
Yes, exactly. And then we get, like, so they're all inside the building. Nash looks out the window, and he's like, looks like they're expecting us. Talking about, because the bad guys pull up. We go to the bad guys, where they're like, we're not alone. And he says, it makes no difference.
Oh, is that what he was talking about? I thought Neil McDonough was just talking about his alien conspiracy beliefs. Is that what he was talking about, Nash and the cops being there?
I think so, yeah.
Wow, I see Michael this movie in a whole new light.
I know. Michael Clark Duncan was referring to the alien lights in the sky. Neil McDonough assumed he was talking about the cops. It's all mixed up in there. And there's a shootout, and once again, Nash and the rest of the cops are not behind the pylons that are literally like 6 feet to their left or their right. They were just standing out in the middle of the open, shooting out with people with automatic weapons.
But Chris Klein isn't even doing that. He's just laying on the ground and rolling around, shooting it. Yeah. Like, he doesn't get up for a full, 3 minutes. He just stays on the ground.
Oh, it's awesome. And then Chun-Li, without a gun, just goes out and starts kicking people. And then when this guy's about to shoot her, Chris Klein saves her naturally. But it's like, why are you going to a gunfight with your martial arts? This is not going to end well for you. But it does.
It does, of course.
Yes. And
now we're at the final set piece.
Yes, we get Bison going to talk to his daughter that he loves, apparently, even though he doesn't have his conscience. And he says, "You're as beautiful as your mother," without adding the caveat that I murdered.
Yeah, well, he's even just like, I loved your mother. I still do to this day. See, I keep this ring she gave me. Even though I tore you out of her stomach.
So that I can not have a conscience. Ridiculous. And then we, the Sting, the people from the Sting operation go in, they start doing stuff. And then I love that Chris Klein, even though everyone else is in disguise as the guards, Chris Klein is just like, nah, fuck it. I'm just going in like I'm dressed now. And so he is just sticking out like a sore thumb, making it pointless that any of them are dressed up in the first place.
Yeah, pretty much, except it's probably going to cause confusion to him of who's the good guy and bad guy. He's just going to shoot everybody. That's what Nash does. Yeah,
that's his thing.
Nash out.
We get a couple of Nash outs. Then we get Chun-Li and Bison fighting. It's all right. There's
even
tiger roars.
There is both Gin and Balrog fighting, and then Bison fighting. And seriously, during the whole Gin and Balrog fight, it's drawn out. It takes forever. He ends up killing him with a cold pipe. I was just like, dude, just break his knees. It worked for Affleck.
Nice.
Thanks.
For that movie that no one else liked.
Well, fuck you, because I still like it.
It's pretty good. It's not bad. Okay, so then we get to the final fight with Chun-Li and Bison, where Bison punches with tiger roars behind them inexplicably.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, I know. Every time there was like a tiger sound, and they didn't show kind of the energy the way they do when like Gen and Chun-Li like do those kind of moves, but it almost did. Like there was almost a little bit of like waviness to his punches, like he was expelling energy.
Yeah, and then I love that, like, he's about to get the better of Chun-Li, she does something, and this, like, I guess a bag of, like, not, like, dry cement falls on him, like the powder you make cement out of.
Yeah.
And he starts flailing around like an idiot for at least a minute.
Yeah, she has plenty of time. She has time to build one of her energy balls while he's just standing there just like, oh, I'm so white.
Yeah, like, they don't build these energy balls like in the game. Like, it takes her a good 30 seconds to get this thing going, and you just see Bison every once in a while just flailing in the background, like,
But for real, this is actually a pretty good fight scene overall. Like, this is probably my favorite fight scene out of the movie. Bamboo fight.
I like it. Yeah, no, I did like that. I like that they use set pieces. That's always fun in a fight.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Jackie Chan.
Yeah, totally.
And yeah, no, it's a good fight. She knocks Bison off, and then this insane scene where she jumps down and breaks his neck with her feet.
Yeah, she jumps down, kind of like catches his head between her feet, and then she spins the opposite way around, so she's hanging upside down and just turns his head completely around.
And it's so awesome.
Yeah, it is. I couldn't help it when I was watching it. I was immediately just like, fatality! And I was like, oh, fuck, wrong game.
Tisk, sir. But yeah, it was awesome. And Chris Medoto's just sitting up there backwards in a suit on the pylons or whatever.
You just combined Chris Klein and Neil McDonough.
Oh, did I say Chris McDonough?
Yeah.
Nice.
Which, again, at science, if we can make this happen, if we can combine the genes of Chris Klein and Neil McDonough to make the perfect human being,
then I think we'll finally be ready for the Legend of Ryu. Because that's what's set up next.
It's so cute. They thought they were going to get a sequel.
Oh, I do want to give one more Chris Klein line read. His last lines of the film. Or not the last lines, but some of them. Hey, you better get out of here. Chopper's on the other side of the island. I never saw you. Chris Klein, out.
Yeah. Well, no, and then also, like, as the other forces come in, he just kind of looks, like, back at Chun-Li. He's like, there she goes. And then he's like, all right, I'm in charge here. He's like, Charlie Nash, Interpol, hold your fire.
Hold your fire. Yeah, he gets, like, this weird southern accent for the very last lines. Yeah. It was pretty awesome. And Chun-Li goes home. She apparently put all her stuff in storage. She also, like, all of a sudden they're moving boxes back in. I didn't understand that. Jin apparently followed her there, and he talks to her about a tournament they're holding where there's this guy called Ryu something or other.
Get it?
Yeah. And then the ending is Chun-Li's voiceover saying no, or for her saying no, for now, I'm home. Then Street Fighter, The Legend of Chun-Li. So, just to tie a bow on it.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about this movie. It is amazing.
You should, definitely come for the ridiculous fighter plot. Stay for Chris Klein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
right.
Yeah, recommend it. Done. Out. Nash, out. All right. That was Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li. Join us next week on the podcast when we discuss a movie from the 90s. More specifically, 1997, when Alicia Silverstone was a star for some reason. That's right, we take a look back at 1997's Excess Baggage. Join us next time here at Celluloid.